Okay, welcome back to the channel. Time for my daily rant. Told you I was going to make this a series. Anyway, one thing that came up, and I've kind of noticed it too, and it's not because I don't like having fun and, we tease each other in the gun community, cartridge this, cartridge that, whatever. We can have some fun with it. But there's also guys who get a little too serious and a little too locked into their mental illness that they stop to see things for what they are and choose to just keep going with it. And so it's to the guys who are basically the jerkwads that I'm going to address. Here's the thing. One of the cartridges that gets dogged on the most, and I dog on it a little bit too, but I mean it in good fun, not because I have any ill will towards it, is the 6.5 Creedmoor. There's a lot of guys saying that they call it the bleeds more and this and that. No, the problem is people have bought into the idea that just because you have professional teams using this cartridge for long-range target shooting, that it's inherently accurate, quote-unquote, and all this other stuff, not realizing that those teams hand-load their own, typically have $10,000 to $15,000 rifles with $10,000 to $15,000 optics. And all they do is shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot, okay? These guys are probably going through more than 10,000 rounds a year. So when you see channels like Muley Freaks, where they're talking about this and they're taking shots at 800, 900 yards, you got to realize those guys are using $4,000 or $5,000 rifles and $4,000 to $5,000 optics, and all they're doing is shooting all day. They get paid by companies like Hornady or whoever's sponsoring them to shoot all day. These aren't really hunters. They're professionals. They're professional marksmen that happen to hunt. That's really what this has turned into be. And there's nothing wrong with that in of itself. But the biggest issue behind the 6.5 Creedmoor is not the cartridge itself. It's the morons who are using them. They're taking shots that they have zero business taking in winds that they should not be shooting in, with bad angles on the deer, with garbage bullets. And so, I'm sorry, I don't care what you want to say. The ELDX bullet is notorious for coming apart on shoulder bone. Stop shooting the freaking shoulders. They don't do well in shoulder bone. Well, I wanted to drop instantly. Well, you ain't going to do it if the bullet doesn't penetrate. Shot placement is not everything. It's 66% of the problem. The remaining 3%, the 33%, has to do with that bullet reaching and doing its job when it gets down range. Shot placement is not everything. Shot placement is mostly everything. The remaining percentage has to do with what that bullet does when it hits its target. Stop using garbage bullets. It's user error. Because if you're going to say, oh, the 6.5 Creedmoor is a junk cartridge, junk bullet, and all this other stuff, really? So you're going to tell me the 243, which is significantly smaller in diameter and significantly lighter, typically between 80 and 105 grains, that's somehow ethical on deer and elk. But a 26 caliber with 140 grains isn't? You really have that kind of logic? That you're thinking like a 5-year-old? Get out of here, you moron. I'm not going to even listen to that anymore. It's irresponsible shooters making irresponsible shots. And the fact is, there's as many irresponsible shooters with 270, 30-06, 300 Win Mag, 7 Rem Mag. Plenty of elk are lost with 30-06, 270, 7 Rem Mag, and 300 Win Mag. It has to do with how you shoot. So you can say whatever you want. Good shooters make it happen. Okay? Would I personally use a 26 caliber where I live? No, because I like having a slightly larger wound channel. That said, I've also learned how to shoot. Okay? I've killed way too many animals successfully with good wound channels. And I've done it with a variety of cartridges. I picked 270 because it kind of hits this sweet spot. I don't hunt past 400 yards right now. So I don't need an ultra long range rig. I don't. It does the trick for me. Not to mention my hand loads really shoot well out of my rifle. But if you're going to, again, consistently try to sit there and dog on the cartridge, number one, you should actually understand what the real issue is. Is it the cartridge, or is it the morons using the cartridge wrongly? Because I guarantee you there's been just as many deer lost with a 243, just as many lost with a 270, a 30-30, you name it. The difference is, because we live in an age of technology where everything's recorded, we actually get to have more information as to how that works. But I can guarantee you, even Jack O'Connor, as good as he was, lost an animal or two. Okay? It's going to happen. Everybody does. Especially when you're hunting big game like elk. They're stupidly tough. So if you're going to make that comparison, at least understand it. And I get it's kind of fun to make fun of other people, when it comes to their choices, whatever. But to the guys who are getting irritated, just listen to what I'm saying. Ignore the rhetoric of the retards that choose to focus on this is inadequate, but they'll go to a 243, right? Because that involves adult logic right there, doesn't it? You idiots. Take a 243 but not a 26. That has as much logic behind it as Lizzo having fat, all right? I take that back. The logic to that line of thinking is Lizzo to health. How's that for a comparison, huh? Yeah, she's not very healthy, is he? Now, and neither is your logic. So knock it off. I will say this, is it the most overhyped cartridge in the last 25 years? Yeah. As a matter of fact, a lot of cartridges are super overhyped. The Creedmoors are, the PRCs are, heck, even to a degree, you can argue that the 7 Red Mag is. It's good, but it's not the end-all, be-all. There is no such thing as an end-all, be-all cartridge, okay? So, again, have fun. Be respectful. At the end of the day, though, if you are consistently going, this is a terrible cartridge, simply because people really suck at shooting, then you suck at thinking. Okay? You need to get your head out of your butt. The fact is, there is no such thing as a bad cartridge, just a bad shooter. Because even with something like a 223 or a 22-250, if you're within reasonable ranges and you could brain pan an elk, you can absolutely kill it. Would I recommend just anybody doing that? No. And I don't recommend making that shot unless you have ideal conditions. Extremely low wind, very close range. I'm talking like, not more than 100 yards. And that's another side point. There is nothing wrong with taking a headshot. If you know your rifle and you have the ability and you can shoot that thing in the head and lose the least amount of meat and drop that thing, you go ahead and you blow the head off. Don't listen to these guys. But that might ruin your mount. Who cares? Are you hunting for them? Are you living their life? Did you pay for their tag? No? Then shut up, Karen. No one cares what you think. There's an invasive species of Karens in this world, and you need to knock it off. Starting to treat you like feral hogs. Need to trap you and relocate you. Anyway, stop trying to be gatekeepers to other people's experiences and hunting. No one answers to you. No one should. You don't have the right to tell other people what to do. If you want to tell them what to do, you should go out and pay for their equipment, pay for their licenses, and pay for their access. If you do that, then you can tell them what to shoot and how to shoot. Until then, shut up. You're as bad as an HOA, and they're useless too.